Chances are, if you were a kid in the 90s, you already know who the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers are, but for those of you who didn't see the show, let me fill you in real quick. The show revolves around a group of 5 teenagers with attitude, who have been given special power coins by the space-saved Zordon. These coins allow them to morph into power suits and call upon huge mechanical beasts that can fuse together to form the Megazord. And with their newfound power, they must stop the evil Rita Repulsa from taking over the world with her army of monsters. And man, I loved this show as a kid. And I wasn't the only one. Everyone seemed to like it. And if they didn't like it, they at least knew what it was. And like with any popular franchise, companies see a chance to make some money by making a game for it. But the problem is, most licensed games tend to be somewhat on the bad side. So today, let's take a look at Mighty Morphin Power Rangers for the SNES. Let's see if it suffers the same fate as most licensed games, and more importantly, if it's still worth a play today. The plot of the game is simple. Rita Repulsa's face flashes in the sky and the Rangers head off to defeat the monsters she sent down to Earth. To the game's defense, the show didn't really have very many complex plots either. Usually the Rangers would defeat a monster and a couple of putty and learn some life lessons along the way, such as sharing is caring or something in that ballpark. So if you're looking for some new insight into the Power Rangers universe, you're not gonna get it here. However, what is pretty awesome is you can play as any of the original 5 Power Rangers, excluding the Green Ranger. Jason, Zach, Billy, Trini, Kimberly, they're all there. And you get to pick which Ranger you'd like to be before each level. Another nice touch is all the Rangers have custom attack animations, which gives them all a little bit more personality. I especially like Billy's punch animation and Zach's kick animation. It suits their characters well. Some of the Rangers are supposed to be faster or more powerful than others, but I didn't really notice that from my experience. From what I can tell, none of the Rangers have a distinct advantage over another one, so you don't have to worry about picking your favorite Ranger. But let's be honest, if you're not picking Kimberly, I don't think you're really playing the game. When you finally select your Ranger and get put in the game, you'll find yourself in a side-scrolling beat-em-up. And in typical side-scrolling beat-em-up fashion, you move to the right until the screen stops, defeat all the enemies on screen, and move on. Once you get to about the midpoint of each level, your Ranger will morph into their power suit, and you'll continue on the level like this. And the only difference in gameplay that this entails is your reach will be extended a little bit, and each Ranger will attack with their specific weapon. I always got a kick out of Kimberly using her bow as a melee weapon. Though, you can shoot the bow by quickly pressing down up attack, but I didn't find myself doing this very much. Gaining access to your Ranger suit will also allow you to use your bomb special, which will damage all enemies on screen. At the end of each stage you'll encounter a boss monster, and these monsters are pretty awesome because they all appeared in the first season of the show. So if you're a fan of the show, it's awesome to see some of the monsters come back. One of my favorite monsters in the show was always the Eye Monster, and you actually get to fight him in this too. And on 2 occasions at the end of the stage we get to play as the Megazord for the boss fights, but that only really happens twice in the game. The gameplay is actually pretty awesome, but it does suffer from a few problems. The first problem is most of the enemies in the stages you'll be fighting are mostly putties, with the occasional robot sprinkled in here or there. Each putty is color-coded to represent what difficulty they'll present to you, how many hits you'll need to kill them. But just because they're a different color, it doesn't make it feel like you're fighting a different kind of enemy. And if you're anything like me, by the end of the game, you'll really be wishing you had something else to fight. When I was originally playing, I was wondering where the Megazord was, and when I finally got to the stages where I got to use it, I was incredibly excited. The only problem is playing as the Megazord is extremely clunky, and it changes the game style. It turns it into a pseudo-fighting game. And honestly, it is sort of hard to take. These fights were the only point during the game that I died, until I found out you can cheese your way through the fights by just spamming the dash attack. And that leads us to the final thing, which may be a problem for some and might not for others. The game is not particularly hard. At no point did I find myself really being challenged. Believe it or not, I didn't lose 1 life in this game, up until the point where I got to the final stages and I had to do the Megazord fights. But as I stated before, I feel like I was losing more so because it was clunky than it was difficult. The lack of challenge didn't really take away from the fun of the game for me, but if you're seeking a challenge, you might want to look elsewhere. On the other hand, the combat is smooth and the controls are responsive. The levels you'll be traversing in this game vary, and each one is different. You'll find yourself walking through streets, sewers, and even a high-tech lab. There are 7 different areas you'll be seeing throughout the game, and each is unique. You'll find yourself doing some light swimming and platforming as well, and I would have loved some more of the latter. Also, the color palettes they use for the level are very pleasing to the eye. None of the levels are particularly memorable, but they're awfully nice to look at. The graphics sort of fall in the same boat. They're not bad by any means, but in no way are they particularly memorable. They won't degrade your gameplay experience, but they also won't do much to heighten it either. The one other thing that I should note is it only takes about an hour to get through all of these levels. On my first playthrough, I think I beat the game in around 57 minutes, and that time includes waiting around through the title screen so I can see the story, the end credits, making a sandwich, and jotting down some notes for the review. So don't be expecting to pull any all-nighters with this one, because the game will be over before you know it. Now, this doesn't mean that it's a bad game, it just means that it's a short one. So the question remains, is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers for the Super Nintendo still worth a play today, or does it fall into that category of licensed garbage? Well, I'm happy to report that it is definitely not garbage. I had a blast when I was playing this game, and I think you guys might enjoy it too. Even if you're not a fan of the show, the game offers some great combat with really smooth controls, a bunch of levels with really nice color palettes in them, and some really fun boss fights. Fans of the series will enjoy these boss fights even more because they're monsters that they've already seen before in the show. It was also great to be able to select between all of the different Power Rangers, and seeing all the different animations that they had. It really gave the game some more life. That being said, if you're looking for a game that's challenging and will take a long time to beat, skip over this one. It's not what you're looking for. But if you're looking for a fun way to kill an afternoon, then you should definitely give this one a try. So that wraps up this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, be sure to like and subscribe. I'll be making more stuff like this in the future. I'm curious, how many of you guys watched the Power Rangers when you were kids? Who was your favorite Ranger, and who was your favorite monster? And if you got anything else to say, let me know in the comment section. And until the next time, you guys have a good one. Once again, thanks for watching, and if you still got time to kill, why not click on one of these cards here and check out some of my other videos. I got tutorials, other reviews, and a whole bunch of stuff. Maybe you'll enjoy it.